Hi. Sorry we're late, everyone.
Good evening.
Let me just switch out my folders.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jim.
Do we have everybody here? Catherine Glenn on?
I'm here.
Hi, Catherine. Sorry. You're there. All right, Mr. Cobb, everybody's here. Is Bill here? Bill, are you here? I think he's here. Looks like his number.
Hi, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Okay. I think we have everybody.
Okay.
Mr. Cobb? Oh, you're muted, Mr. Cobb. Hang on. Okay, Mr. Cobb, you're unmuted now.
Okay, ready to get started?
Let's get started.
Okay, I call this council meeting of June 23rd, 2020 at 7:43 p.m. to order. Will everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United
States of America.
Republic.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
God,
Visible,
liberty, and justice for all.
justice for all.
City Clerk, please read the Open Public Meetings Act, please.
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notice of this meeting was included in a notice sent to the Record and the Star Ledger and advertised in said newspapers on January 17, 2020, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted with required notices under the statute. A copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Also take notice that in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and JSA 10:4-6 at SEEK, and in consideration of Executive Order Number 103, issued by Governor Murphy on March 9, 2020, declaring a state of emergency and a public health emergency in the state of New Jersey, the city of Englewood does hereby notify the public that to protect the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens while ensuring the continued functioning of government, City Council meeting scheduled for June 23rd, 2020 at the Englewood Municipal Court, 73 South Van Brunt Street, Englewood, New Jersey, 07631, will be held virtually and telephonically via Zoom only. Members of the public who wish to participate in the meeting may do so by
Can
calling
somebody put this on? Can they go on mute, please?
on the link, check website for a link, or by dialing 921-205-6099, followed by passcode 844-4340-3830 at 7:30 p.m. Individuals calling into this number will be able to fully participate in the meeting, including providing public comment. A non-public dial-in number will be used if closed session is required. Proper notice having been given, the municipal clerk is directed to include the statement in the minutes of this meeting.
Will the city clerk please do the roll call?
Councilman Cohen.
Here.
Councilwoman Glenn.
Here.
Councilman Hamer. You're on mute.
He's on mute.
Was here a little while ago. I saw him. Mr. Hamer?
Here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Rosenberg?
Yeah.
Council President Cobb?
Here.
Also present is Mayor Michael Wilds and City Attorney Bill Bailey.
First up, Resolution 13806-23-20, approval of bills and claims. Somebody say something?
Is Dolly or you're just trying to?
We got a lot of, Yancy, can you mute folks? I need I need a motion to approve and a second to approve bills and claims.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? I have a couple of questions. Is Mr. Kaufman on?
I am.
Mr. Kaufman, page 1 of 3. It says emergency services, and it says for the fire department, 2019 for $4,075 and 2020 for the same amount. What is that? And why are we paying 19 at this point in time?
That is the software that the fire department uses. I'm not sure exactly for what. I'll talk to the chief and find out.
Yeah, okay. Give me, just shoot me a note, shoot us a note of what that is.
I'll
I have
email
another-
him. I'll email him, and then he'll email me back, and then I'll forward it to you.
Okay. On page 3 of 3, and I guess this goes to Mr. Volsi, maybe he could give a little bit more detail. It says road program, $402,108.40. Maybe Mr. Volsi could give us a little
Yes.
background in this.
That's for DNL paving. They got awarded the contract for the 2019 road project. They're just completing the project this year. If you noted, they've done Green Street, James Street, Starling Road. So they're completing the project, and that's basically what that's.
Well, Mr. Volsi, while I got you still here, because maybe you know about this one. There's a bill in here for $3,750 for the library architectural services. Are you familiar with that?
That I believe that's Acari Iovino. They were involved with the grant submittal for the library. They actually completed the plans. So that was part of the grant proposal for the library construction bond.
And that's what it cost. So that was what it cost to go
I
through that
believe
process?
I believe that was part and parcel of them putting the plans together and, and working with Millennium and submitting that grant proposal.
Oh, okay. All right. Anybody else got any questions? Roll call. Yancy, please.
Councilman Cohen?
Yep.
Councilwoman Glenn?
Yes.
Councilman Hamer?
Vote yes.
Councilwoman Rosenberg?
Yes.
Council President Cobb?
Yes. Next is public hearing. Yancy, you want to read it by title or you want me to?
Sure, I can do it. Public hearing for the grant submission for the Bergen County Open Space Recreation, Floodplain Protection, Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund. This is for the McKay Park Turf Field Restoration. I don't know if Melanie's on, but I believe Franz is able to answer any questions and lead the discussion on this.
So we open this up to the public hearing? To the public?
You want Franz to explain what the project is first?
Yes. Franz, could you explain that to the public and us as well?
Sure. What this is an application for a grant. The city would be applying for an open space a matching grant for the rehabilitation of the McKay Park turf baseball field. Our office, along with the recreational department, identified this field as one in need of rehabilitation to allow for more, not only use of the field, but safer league play as well. And we're basically requesting funding from the County of Bergen through its municipal park improvement program. The work associated with this is just like any other field improvement project, you know, surveying, drainage, grading, obviously the removal of the existing turf field. That's, I don't know if many of you have probably been out there and seen the condition of that turf field, but that needs to be removed and obviously replaced by a new field as well. I believe there may be a concept plan in your package. I'm not sure if there is or not, where I along with Millennium, we just, that was part of the package that was submitted. That's to be submitted as part of the grant. It just shows a rough outline as to where the field is and what we're proposing to do. But that's essentially it. We're looking to get that field completed once and for all. And the one thing that I do want to include as part of this project is the maintenance of the field. So there's, I'm specifying that maintenance manuals be included as part of this, the equipment to take care of the field be included as part of this, as well as the training of the DPW workers, whoever's going to be taking care of the field, be a part of this, just so we can extend the life of the field as much as possible and have continuous maintenance of this field once it's put down.
Okay. Nancy, we're going to open this up to the public?
Yes. Do you want to give everyone a time limit or?
Every 2 minutes is the time limit. If they have any questions, name, address, 2 minutes on this particular subject right here.
Okay, so for members of the public, same rules. At the bottom of your screen, there's a reactions button. Click on that, just raise your hand and we will call on you. There is one hand raised. It just says
Is he coming?
iPhone.
Okay, he should bring a sweatshirt.
Just that?
Yes.
Who is iPhone?
And whatever, I guess whatever he wants to bring to Morty's, I don't know.
Nancy, you have somebody?
I had someone with iPhone, but then they lowered their hand and they're not there anymore. Diane Jensen's raising her hand.
All right. She's got 2 minutes.
Diane, go ahead.
It's actually me, Pete Jansen,
Sorry.
from Richland Terrace. Yeah, I just have a question. And maybe it's too early in the project to know, but I'm curious as to the type of replacement of turf. Is it a plastic synthetic turf or a natural grass turf?
It is synthetic turf.
Okay, so then my second question about sprinklers is moot. Okay, that's it. No more questions.
No?
Nancy, anybody else?
Thought I saw somebody, iPhone raise their hand again.
Yeah, it's Jack Silverman.
Hey, Jack.
Hi. I don't have a question about the project, but I did want to let you guys know that I and Sandy Greenberg tried to call in a couple of times using the code that was listed, and we can't get through. It says the password is not usable. I mean, it's not good or whatever the verbiage they said. So we both separately tried to get in by phone. I'm able to get in on my iPhone right now. I just thought that you should know that.
Okay.
Sandy would like to listen in and participate. So I don't know if you can find another code for her.
Nancy? Can we move on?
There's
Okay.
one more person with their hand raised.
Anybody else?
Yes, one more. Samuel Griffin.
Yep.
Mr. Griffin?
Hi, Samuel Griffin, 208 Warren Street. My question is, I'm very happy actually that we're doing that field over. I just wanted to know, permit-wise, is this going to help with more use of the field for the youth? Are we going to get back to recreational usage for baseball, if not baseball or other recreational use for the field? Will this improve that, or does the council have any ideas to help with creating of outlet for a resource for our community? I guess I know I get 2 minutes, but that was my only question pertaining to this project.
Did I answer that?
Yeah, sure, please. I'm not sure who's speaking.
I mean, theoretically, if we put a new field down and it's maintained, it'll be usable. All year round is a bad thing to say because obviously weather impacts the use of the field. But yes, it should be. We should be able to use that field a lot more. There should be a lot more activity being able to be able to take place on that field. So again, that's something that it has to go through recreation eventually. It's not something that that I can fill you in with a lot of detail. But theoretically, yes, a new field will allow for more use.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I grew up playing baseball in Englewood. My son, though, because I don't know if there is a recreational baseball team in Englewood, plays in Teaneck at the moment. But I would love for him, who goes to Englewood schools, he goes to Greco. I would love for him and his friends to have a chance to play in a recreational league, especially if we're spending this amount of money to improve this facility, which is great. But I would love for our community to be able to be a part of that.
Minutes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other member of the public? Again, at the bottom of the screen, there's the reactions button. Press on that, raise your hand, and it can call on you.
It looks like John Griffin is making gestures.
Yes. Pop, 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 pop. All right. Oh, it keeps going on and off. Okay, Jay Griffin.
Javay Griffin. I don't know if I heard correctly, but that's a county grant. I was just wondering, with having that grant, is there any stipulations that will require that field to be open to outside events outside of Englewood, as far as like county events or anything of that nature?
Yes, I'll answer. To my knowledge, no.
Anyone else?
Not seeing anyone.
You don't see anybody else? Okay. We're going to close the public hearing. And now we're going to go on to department updates. And the first one will be the police department. Chief Lawrence Suffering will give us an update of what's going on at a high level. Chief, are you ready?
Good morning. Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. Yes, when we first spoke, we had some activity that occurred down in the Matledge Place area, where we had 3 shootings that had taken place within a 18-hour period. At that particular time, nobody was injured. We had property damage that occurred. We also had a disturbance that had occurred in the area of 284 West Palisade Avenue that had occurred approximately 20 minutes prior to our first shooting taking place. The officers responded to a large disturbance. Upon arrival, they were pelted with debris, bottles and rocks. They subsequently requested assistance to help quell the situation. And then within the 20-minute period while they were addressing the issue of the disturbance, that's when the shooting took place. A contingent of officers responded over to the location on Matledge Place, got some preliminary information, saw an individual that appeared to be involved, and subsequently had a foot chase that ensued. They were subsequently able to take him into custody. At this time, we were unable to put him directly involved with the shooting incident. Our detectives followed up, and we have some additional information that we're working on to try and identify the actual individuals that this took place with. Subsequent to that, we had a incident over the weekend where tragically there was an individual who was shot and killed down in the area of 2nd Street and 4th Street. Again, there was a large gathering that was taking place, and during that gathering, somewhere around 1:15 a.m. in the morning, there were shots that were fired at least one individual that we believe was the intended target. There was another individual who was also shot with a non-life-threatening bullet wound and transported to the hospital. And then the other victim was severely injured and eventually succumbed to his injury of the gunshot wound that he received. Our office is working with the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office very extensively in order to try and identify the individual who was responsible for the shooting that occurred on Saturday morning. We have been working tirelessly since that time in order to try and identify the individual or individuals that were involved, so we can take them into custody and get them off the streets. We've also had a few car thefts that have occurred, and primarily that's occurred in the 2nd and 4th Ward. But we have identified the fact that people are leaving their remote key fobs in the vehicles, and the vehicles are subsequently being taken with the keys in the vehicles. So we will be putting together another message. We send one out periodically to remind people to take their keys and their valuables out of their cars, primarily the keys, because that is the main opportunity that people have in order to steal a vehicle.
Thank you, Chief. That completes your update, Chief?
That completes my update for
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm sure people may have some questions for you when we get to the public session, if you be willing to stick around to that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next will be Health Department Director James Federico, and he'll give us an update on what's going on in terms of the COVID and some of the other health issues that are around that he's been dealing with in town. Mr. Federico?
Thank you, Council President Cobb, for inviting me. Hello, everyone.
Sure.
So I'm going off of this chart that was sent to all the council members and the mayor, explaining this chart, which is the COVID-19 data for the city of Englewood. For those of you who can't see it on here, I'll try to explain it with some hand gestures. So we have 775 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the city of Englewood. It was peaking the last week of March, the first week of April. That's when we were seeing about 25 cases per day, 25 new cases per day. Right now, we're seeing about 1 new case per day. So in the beginning, it went up, and now we have this long we flattened the curve, which was the initial strategy. So that's what this chart is saying that you have here. Went up and flattened out. So we've been flat since about the first week of May is when the curve really started to get flat, if you're looking at this data right now. What's interesting about this is that we had 28 kids who tested positive. So out of the 775, 28 kids aged 0, newborn to age 18 tested positive. And many of those were asymptomatic. So this disease primarily affects adults and older folks. So for example, we had 2 children ages 0 to 5 who tested positive for coronavirus. Just 2 out of the 775 tested positive. Now with the death is the line below there in orange. we have 59, when this was done, it was 59 deaths that occurred in Englewood. And below that, I have the death statistics. So the mean, which is the average age at death was 78 years old. The median, the middle number of all of those was 76 years old. And then the mode is the most common age at death. So there were three, and those were ages 72, 75, and age 92. So we had 4 people who were 72 years old that passed away, 4 people 75, and 4 people their age was 92. And below that, you have the range. The youngest person that died from COVID-19 was 46 years old, and the oldest was 107 years old. The 46-year-old is kind of interesting because in the system, it says that it was not a COVID-19 case, but on the death record, which we keep here in the city of Englewood, it says that one of the complications of the death was COVID-19. So the point is that, you know, sometimes these things don't fit neatly. Then if that 46-year-old wasn't listed, the next would be 58 years old was the youngest. So that is the range. So from 46 to 107 years old are the deaths. Now, the case fatality rate, you take the 59 divided by 75, which gives you the case fatality rate. So the case fatality rate for Englewood is around 8%. And that number is rather high, but it would be lower if we had those people who were asymptomatic. And in the very beginning, testing was limited. So I suspect that we have had many more cases of COVID-19 within the city of Englewood, but those things are not tracked because they didn't come in for testing and they didn't show up in our surveillance system. I see one of our case managers out there in the audience, Laura Vogel. Hello, Laura. Anyway, so the case fatality rate is at 8% here in Englewood, but I believe that's much lower. We did a test here in Englewood, and we tested the police and fire, and I estimated from that these people came to get tested. They said that they were just going to see if they were positive, and 20%, roughly 20% of those people tested positive, and they said that they were asymptomatic. So I would estimate that at least 20% of this 775 are people who are asymptomatic and never got tested. So that 20% onto 775 is roughly 1,000. So I'm looking at around 1,000 people, I would say for sure, had the disease but never went for testing, and maybe even more than that. Okay, so that's all I'll have, and I'll take questions at the end. Or what now? You want to run it, Councilman Cobb?
Appreciate it. Thank you for that update, the culvert. We're going to move on the agenda. Ordinance was public hearing, second reading. We have none. Ordinance for introduction, first reading. We have none. We have public comment on agenda items, resolutions 139 through 149. So we're going to open it up to the public, and we're going to move, and then after that, we'll move to adopt by unanimous consent.
Same thing, everybody, at the bottom of the screen. There's a reactions button. Press on that. Raise your hand.
You have 2 minutes. Introduce yourself and whatever your questions or concerns about any of these resolutions.
Anyone with their hand raised? Oh, wait, here we go. Samuel Griffin.
Yes.
Just a quick question. I do know surrounding towns that are providing COVID testing for people. Does our health department believe that that is something that will be available to Englewood residents in the future?
Sam, he'll answer that later, but we did have a test around here from the county about, what was it, Yancy, 3 weeks
May
ago,
12th.
4 weeks ago?
May 12th.
It was a while ago.
Yeah,
May
and
12th.
we're working on something, but Jim will answer that question in a little bit, okay?
Thank you.
Yep. So let's keep, our focus right now is on all the resolutions that we have here. The comments will be around those things.
Diane Jensen.
Yes,
Yeah.
Diane.
Diane Jansen, 589 Richland Terrace. I don't see Resolution 139 in the attachments, so it's hard to comment on it.
It was provided today. I can read it into the record later if you'd like, Mr. Bob.
So you want to read that into the record later, Yancy? She'll read it into the record later. We'll do something with that. Excuse me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Anybody else have any questions?
I don't see anyone else with their hand raised.
We'll close it. We're gonna open it up to the council members.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There's a hand raised, like visually hand raised, Mr. James Irwin.
Yep.
Mr. Irwin, you have to unmute your, oh, there you go. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I just got the Zoom call for the meeting, so excuse me if I'm saying something that's been said or if I'm out of line. I don't know where we're at in the meeting. I would like the council, if they haven't already, to recognize a former resident that passed away on June 4th. That would be in the name of Lieutenant General Earl Brown, Jr. from Armory Street. He was a 3-star general in the Air Force, and during his tenure, he served as a commander of a division in Europe. He was one of the highest ranking at the time. Every time he ascended to another level, he was the highest African American in the Air Force at that point. And I think if it's possible, the council could recognize him in some way, shape, or form in the way that you all know how to do.
Hey, Jimmy, I'll take care of that. James Earl, right?
His name is Earl Brown.
Earl Brown.
Earl Brown Jr. from Armory Street.
We'll take care. I know what you're talking about.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Take care of that. Thank you for that heads up.
Not seeing anyone else with their hand raised, virtually or.
Okay, so we'll move this to the council. Does anybody want to remove or take anything out? Any of these resolutions out?
Can I ask a question?
Cheryl?
Yes. Seeing as we just received the resolution about the police and barely had time to review it, I'm in favor of it, but we just received it late today, and I have some questions about some of the language. I think there's a typo maybe, and I think we should get the review or the approval of our chief of police to endorse whatever language we have. So I want to move forward with this, but I think that doing it today when we just got it today is pushing it.
Well, I'll honestly tell you that it's nothing's going to change. The reality is the reality, right? And Bill Bailey's office actually read that. I reached out to them to read that. We can get it to Chief Suffren, and we can double back, and we can pull it off, and we can double back because Chief Suffren is here, and let him read it, come back to us. I mean, I don't know what's the flavor of the council.
Can I ask if this is a typo then at least? Can I ask if this is a typo then at least? It says, whereas acts of excessive force and police brutality kill far more people than police as compared to other nations and have historically shielded them from accountability. I don't think that sentence makes sense. We've
It's not a
killed far
typo.
more.
It's not
What?
a typo. Huh?
It says excessive force and police brutality kill far more people than police as compared to other nations. It doesn't make sense, that sentence.
Well, we could table it.
You want to table it until the next council meeting?
We can, or because if we amend it now,
It's a resolution. We can amend it in live time, I think. Right, Bill?
Yes, that's correct.
so we could amend it, or we could strike that.
I'm fine with it as long as we just, I think what we want to say is police, whereas acts of excessive force and police brutality kill far more people as compared to other nations. I think if you just take then police out, maybe, I don't know what the original sentence was, but.
It probably was more, acts of excessive force probably kill more people than police, right? Because I think that's what they're trying to say. But we could strike that. Bill, what do you say?
Yeah, you could strike that. Yeah, and as Councilwoman Rosenberg pointed out, it's a resolution, so unlike an ordinance, is much easier to amend at any point in time.
I know Councilman Hamer did a lot of lifting on this thing. Let me get his input on it right now. We can take care of this right now. What do you think, Councilman?
I think the easiest thing would be to strike that clause and
Okay.
Just move forward.
Let's do it. So what we'll do is we'll strike that, okay? And then we'll go for it, okay? What about that, Councilwoman?
That's fine with me.
All right, it's fine with you? Okay, we're good. We're good. Anybody else have any other comments around any of the resolutions?
Yeah. Hello?
Yes.
Yes. I was just curious, the resolution on Juneteenth, I just wanted to understand, is this a resolution that we're saying that it's being re-recognized in 2020, which I'm fine with, because I'm just trying to understand, Englewood, I'm very proud of the fact that we passed the resolution on Juneteenth to recognize it for the city of Englewood in 2011. So I don't want it to seem like Englewood did. I don't want to seem like Englewood did.
Here's the thing, Mr. Cohen. Resolutions, they expire, right?
What I'm just saying is I don't want it to
So
seem
we're
like
just doing a new. We have to do a new one every year, is my understanding.
I'm just saying, I just for the public, I didn't want it to seem like Englewood did not recognize Juneteenth, just that we only recognizing Juneteenth now.
No, we always recognize.
I wanted it to be, I actually, I'll tell you just for a quick history, when I wrote the resolution we did in 11, which we ended up.
What are you saying to me?
I was saying, I wrote the resolution.
About Juneteenth? You're saying something about Juneteenth? About you wrote the resolution?
The one from 2011 I wrote. And I was just very proud that we recognized Juneteenth in 2011 and one of the first cities around to do so. So I just wanted to, I didn't want it to seem to the public that we were just waking up to Juneteenth today, but that we'd been celebrating it for quite some time.
No, I don't think that. I don't think you have to worry about that. I think people know that this thing has been on here every year. At least it's been on here every year I've been on the council. So we're just doing our due diligence, doing what we're supposed to do. So don't worry about that one. I don't think you have to worry about that.
Okay.
Not unless we want to draft. You want to draft an ordinance for that so we can.
No, I just didn't want the public to think that we were just waking up to Juneteenth today. I wanted them to understand that this has been something that we have recognized for many years and that we have taken this seriously for many years. It's not something that we're just waking up to in light of where we are as a nation, but Englewood was ahead of the curve here and been celebrating Juneteenth for a decade, or if not more. I mean, resolution-wise for a decade, but we passed this in 2011, and I just we're very proud that we did so. Just wanted to, I just wanted to seem like we're just waking up to this now.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any comments? Nancy, you see anybody with any other comments on it?
Not from the council member. Oh, it would have to be the council members.
Yeah, anybody from the any other council members? No?
No.
So we could do this by unanimous consent?
Yeah, nothing was pulled, right? We just amended the one resolution.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Councilman Hamer, you said something?
So moved.
Okay. I'll second it. Roll call.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Glenn? Councilwoman Glenn, are you here?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Hamer?
So yes.
Councilwoman Rosenberg?
Yes.
Council President Cobb?
Yes. Next, we'll have communications from mayor and council. Mayor Wiles.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. And again, it's my personal prayer that we will be able to assemble shortly all together. These have been some very trying days, weeks, and yes, months. Since the last council meeting, I issued a proclamation as our council colleagues issued their resolution in honor of Juneteenth, and we had a celebration down by the monument. Happy birthday to about 1,400 registered voters for the month, and I'd like to wish Englewood firefighter Kevin Wilson well in his retirement, and John Noel from the Englewood DPW for their service. I've had a chance to pay visits throughout the city to Playa Bowls, McKay Park, Women's Club of Englewood, Englewood Health, the Bristol Assisted Living Community Baptist Church, Englewood Library, ShopRite, Crown Plaza, Dwight Morrow High School, Englewood DPW, Central Business District along East Palisade Avenue with our assemblyman, Bergen Pack, many Englewood restaurants, Sophia, Blue Moon, Red, White, and Pasta, 111 West Street, the Englewood Housing, St. Cecilia Roman Catholic Church, Allure Salon, New Jersey Eye and Ear, Englemore Center, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. On each one of these visits, I've done videos trying to promote them. We were dealing with a post-Amazon world when I got elected. We now have a post-coronavirus world that we need to step into, and we have to do everything that we can to not just help the financial base of our community, but help the vitality of these businesses that are hurting. I'd like to memorialize, if I can, in my remarks, the passing of Olga Maschiero. She was 92 years old. She was our Grand Marshal and appreciated the honor that was bestowed on her in the Memorial Day Parade. She passed away on June 2nd. It breaks my heart to have led that last memorial without her by my side. And she has an extraordinary legacy. She and Eleanor Harvey are counting on us to keep those who have served and died in our prayers. And it's because of her that we have a Veterans Day celebration. And I'm sure that the council, my office, will come up with a way to memorialize her when we all assemble. I used to be the driveway mayor. We're now brought it to our backyard. Lots of people getting married this season, socially distant, of course, but we're still open for a lot of love in the city. The farmers market came back to Englewood successfully. We have tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the library, a virtual pride ceremony. Nobody's being invited physically. We'd like to still make sure you maintain social distance, but it'll be broadcasted on one of the New Jersey Housewives Facebook and my page as well. I'm working hard on an internet access project. Correspondences are going from my offices to MMS Group, working to eliminate the digital divide, trying to get our seniors and our youth connected in the event that this thing extends itself extraordinarily. I urge everybody to complete the census. If you have not done so, it only takes 5 minutes online. I'd like to commend our police chief, our deputy police chief. I had the privilege of walking this past Saturday in a protest with Ainsworth Minot. We also met prior to the protest Friday morning for a long time with Mr. Minot. And there are very good suggestions for the snapshot of what we saw happen across America. I'm indebted to the Black Caucus, to Mr. Minot, for continuing this conversation in a productive fashion, whether it's body cameras, having some kind of civilian review, or having greater police engagement. We don't have the DARE program A lot has to do with finances. A lot has to do with limited resources that the police department has. These priorities, these funds, and getting perhaps grants from our grant writing group, the Millennium Group, is a way to create a reservoir so we can get our police engaged with our residents more than what we see and read about. Finally, I'd like to tip my hat, if I can, to the Family Promise of Bergen County. I paid a visit earlier today. 15,200 meals have been served in our city, and also to our police chief's wife and her extraordinary efforts, along with Chef Dion at First Baptist, to making sure that more than 20,000 packages have been delivered into the hands of those that need. If you pull the lens back, it's not just the good citizens like Laura Vogel and others that came to the rescue when we needed them, but people have delved into their pockets, and we have to make sure that the business of the city continues. When it comes to planning board, we are, again, behind the scenes, making sure that applications are being queued so that when we reassemble, it'll go forward. I'm prayerful that we will cut the right balance to make sure that not just the schools, but the central business district and what we know to be the city of trees continues to root itself in all the wonderful diversity and the leadership that we have. Mr. Cobb and I deal on a daily phone call. It's now been changed to 3 times a week, and we see firsthand the police chief, the fire chief, DPW, the rec department, our city clerk who stepped up unanimously as city manager, and all the hard work of everybody who works behind the scenes to see that the city business continues. In that respect, I'd like to thank everybody who's assembled here, because these meetings don't happen. And while the substance of what a council should get involved in has changed and the conversations throughout our nation have become more extreme, it's very important that we continue the city business in an efficient and gentle lady way. And to that end, you have my assurance, we flatten the curve, and it's because of the hard work of our health department and everybody assembled this evening. Thank you, Mr. Cobb.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Glenn?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'd like to remind everyone about the primary coming up. If you haven't voted, please do so. It's the most important thing you can do to have your voice heard. And if there's any confusion you have about the process of voting, I think the clerk's office can provide information. I'm also happy to help anyone who needs assistance in getting their vote mailed, if that's the option that they're going with. I'd also like to comment on the lower key but successful Juneteenth flag raising celebration that was held on Thursday night. It was difficult circumstances, but I want to commend everyone who was there and who participated in the celebration. Congratulations to the library offering curbside pickup. That's a breath of fresh air, and remind everyone about how easy it is to use online books if you are lucky enough to have access to the internet. And finally, I just want to express concern about the recent spate of violence, and I hope as a community we can work together to overcome the causes of the violence and support the police as we can in their efforts to keep us safe. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rosenberg?
Thanks, Council President. Hello and good evening. I wanted to echo the sentiments about the commemoration of Juneteenth. We hope that next year we will once again be able to lean on firefighter Joe Hoyle to lead the celebration and have a real carnival. I know it's something we all look forward to in these times. Obviously, it's not possible, but the day is still meaningful and does not get lost. So thank you to him for really leading this and everyone for supporting him all these years. Happy Pride Month as well. And I hope that everyone will join us for the virtual ceremony. I wanted to just address some of the concerns that I've been hearing. Not all of the council members are in all of the daily meetings, and I thank the group that's been doing the work to make the decisions about what happens on a day-to-day basis. I know it's not easy. I know you've all taken a lot of time out of your day. And we are answering a lot of questions as council members a little bit in the dark. I've been approached by dozens and dozens of people over the last few weeks about the use of the facilities and specifically the tennis courts. And I am getting a very vague answer as to who is responsible for making the decisions about when the courts open or how we can have that discussion. I know the state has opened it. I know that there are many reasons why we haven't, but until we actually have the discussion and the decision process is made clear, a lot of us are left in the dark. And I have seniors that are calling me. I have families that are calling me from all 4 wards. For the seniors, this is their only activity that they get, their only exercise that they get. For the families, both the seniors and the families, they feel that it's not fair that the people who are joining private clubs and have the money to do so are getting to use the tennis courts, and everyone in surrounding towns are getting to, but we're getting turned away from surrounding towns. And I just think it's important to know when the decision is going to be made to open them. I know that it's been said, I've heard both on the council meeting and second or third hand that we're going to do it at the same time as basketball courts. But basketball is obviously a very different sport. We're talking about opening pools. All 3 of those facilities are in McKay Park, and our taxpayers who are really financially struggling right now really need answers from us as to when they're going to be able to use the public facilities. They are relying on us more than they ever have before for many of them, and they can't afford to join private clubs. So I would love for that process to be laid out for everyone in the public. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Councilwoman Rosenberg, you finished?
Yep.
Okay. Councilman Cohen?
Sure, thank you. First and foremost, even though I know we do this often, I think it's imperative to, continually thank, everybody, who's been so incredible in our city, whether it's, the first responders, whether it's everybody who got us through to where we are in COVID. Mayor Wilds with all of his updates on his Friday coffees at the library, Yancey, who's done just a ridiculously amazing job in dealing with an incredibly difficult situation that she was thrown into. Everybody from, I know my almost daily conversations on questions with Walter from our code enforcement, to Franz from our city engineering, to our DPW, and to our police and fire. Everybody has really, to the most part, really stepped up. And I just think, we can't thank all those department heads enough for, and all those folks enough for all that they do on a daily basis. So even though I know we say this oftentimes to all of you, just wanted to, first of all, personally extend another thank you to you. I was very happy to be at the Juneteenth flag raising on last week. I really want to while saying thank you, I want to say thank you to Joe Hoyle for all he's done to make Juneteenth what it is and what it needs to be in our city. I was saying it before. I remember, when I first got on the council in 2010, I'd asked the council if there'd ever been a resolution on Juneteenth prior, and At that point, Dan Fitzpatrick, who had been the city manager, couldn't find any. I'd actually been fortunate that in my professional life in New York, when I was working for the Senate, I was asked to help make sure that the Juneteenth resolution passed in New York State. And we took the resolution that we passed in New York State and were able to use the language and right away make sure to correct that wrong in 2011. And but regardless of a resolution, the city would not have had the celebration we need to have if it wasn't for Joe Hoyle. The education to folks throughout the city, if it wasn't for Joe and the Jabari Society, would not be what it is today. So resolutions are one thing, but the activities and actions of folks like the Jabari Society and Joe, are what really makes the city tick. So, really thank you to all of you as well. Look forward to being at many flag raisings to come, and the carnival and everything else. I know my kids were upset they couldn't have the carnival this year. So, unfortunately, with some of the marches in Englewood being on my Sabbath, I wasn't able to attend, but I made sure that on the Friday prior I attended in Teaneck. And also what I was very proud about is the Jewish community actually from New York City and beyond had put together a Jewish communal rally in support of fighting against police brutality in terms of recognizing and remembering George Floyd. We had about 400, maybe 500 people of various Jewish communities throughout the region last Sunday, and I made sure to get down there, and it was really a beautiful thing to see how different communities can collaborate and work together and support each other. And I look forward to intercommunal cooperation, on all of these critical issues. Because the reality is, unless we're all working together, we need to be all working together on these critical issues to make sure we're successful. And I look forward to being continue to be a big part of that. One thing I want to say also is, which in a large sense echoes what Councilmember Rosenberg had said. With a lot of the camps being canceled, both private and public, a lot of our kids, don't have what to do that they normally would have to do. And with and as Councilman Rosenberg was saying, I'm getting pounded from calls, not just from seniors, but from also everyday residents who the tennis courts are really one of the only recreations they can have, especially with private clubs not being out of reach, especially in times when a lot of folks have lost a lot of income, and when folks have been really hit so hard, economically from COVID. Spending money on tennis is not something people right now have the financial flexibility necessarily to do, but we do have the facilities throughout the city to do so. My understanding is that from a policy perspective, the executive order by the governor is the policy decision to open up those courts unless there is a specific, with the criteria that they give in terms of making sure for safety and for other kinds of safety restrictions. The only thing that should be able to stop that, from what I understand, is that if the council were to specifically vote to countermand that policy decision by the governor. I would love to see I would love to see that the tennis courts be open in time for the 4th of July weekend and in time for everything else. I don't see, when we have cities all around us opening them up, and I've spoken to, folks in our city government in terms of can we meet the, both, when it comes to tennis, but also pools and other things, of can we meet the safety requirements, and are we confident in meeting the safety requirements that are given in the executive order? And I've been told repeatedly that we can. So to me, if we have an executive order dictating policy, and if our own health officials are saying that it's safe and that they recommend that we do it, and that our constituents are, at least my constituents are calling me by the dozen, asking me to do so. I don't really understand either why they're not open, considering we haven't had a council vote to countermand that. But I look forward to that information as well. Listen, for everybody, just stay safe. We still are in the middle of a pandemic. We gotta be careful. And thank God, obviously we're back on this week with yard debris pickup and and bulk pickup. So I know that's making a lot of folks happy. We're starting to get back to normal, or whatever the new normal is going to be for now. But we got to be vigilant. And once again, I just thank everybody in the city for all they've done to get us to this point and to carry us forward. Thank you.
Councilman Hamer.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start off on a really positive note with a note of congratulations to all the graduates. At whatever level you're graduating from, we are with you and support you. These are tough times, so you're going to have to be brave and creative, and sometimes finding a way to do what you need to do, and sometimes that might mean entrepreneurship. But these are going to be difficult times, but they can be interesting times, and I wish you every bit of good luck imaginable. Summer's starting. There are a lot of things that we're used to doing that we've got to put on pause for a little while, and hopefully we put on pause for a little while. There's conversation tonight, in everyone's comments about the parks and use of facilities, and I hope we take our time. We started off as part of the epicenter of COVID across the state. And despite the proclamations that everything is opening up again and everything's safe, the medical people the professionals that come on TV, have differing opinions, and not everything is as fantastic as we seem to want to make it. I think we have very good reason to go slowly and be careful. I know that Mr. Fedorko is good at what he does, and I trust that his decisions are from the heart and head. But I also know that there are other professionals who don't understand fully what this pandemic is all about. And I think we have a significantly vulnerable population that we need to be extremely careful about the decisions that we make, and I hope we continue to do that. With regard to the violence that's occurred in Englewood of late, I thank Chief Suffren for his comments tonight and giving the high-level approach to or high-level remarks about what has transpired. There's certainly much more to it, and he can't go into that right now, and we certainly shouldn't. We need to, support him in the efforts that he's doing, but there are other things that the city can do, and we need to do every single thing possible to quell what's going on and put a stop to this. So that's going to take an earnest effort from a whole lot of people, and I'm in this, and I want to be in this, and we've got to make a difference. We will be the difference makers. So that's got to stop, and we've got to be the reason it stops. So the last point I want to make is that because of the pandemic, we're going to, and people we know are going to experience a lot of toughness, financially. People are losing jobs. People have lost jobs. People have been laid off and furloughed. The efforts that are being made by Chef Dion and the people at Family Promise and everyone else who's doing things, and maybe not on that scale, but everyone else who's making a difference in the lives of someone else who may be hurting. Those are the kinds of things that we need to get used to. And I hope, more of Englewood finds a way to make a difference. We don't know when this is going to end, and we don't know when it's going to turn, but we need to try to be the difference makers. And, just one last comment, and I see Lieutenant Hoyle on and Firefighter Hoyle. Thank you for the Juneteenth flag raising. I know it couldn't have been as elaborate as you normally do, but thank you for what you've done and keeping that fire burning. So with that, thank you all and have a good evening.
Councilman Hamer. First of all, I want to thank everybody for attending the council meeting tonight. I'm going to start off with some positives, and then I'm going to get right to it. Again, I'd like to thank Lieutenant Hoyle, firefighter, retired just recently, Kevin Wilson, for the Juneteenth flag raising ceremony, reminding us of our heritage and what the struggle is, and the struggle continues. I want to personally thank the class of 2020 at Dwight Moore High School for having me as their keynote speaker, sharing the stage with a number of folks as well. And as being an alumni from them, it was truly an honor and a privilege that they would have me speak to that class. You know, and I have a few things to say, but recently we've been receiving a lot of emails, and they say the police department, the health department is not getting their share. The recreation department is not getting their share. So I would just like to address that. We are very transparent in the city of Englewood. First of all, no department has suffered at the expense of the police department. We have the health director on tonight, and he'll tell you that he got everything he wanted to get in the budget process. And when the pandemic hit, he got the resources that he needed. We made sure we made that commitment to him. And the recreation department has been as well. So, you know, when people say that, I think they need to understand and get the facts, gather them, and do the work before they speak. We, the city of Englewood, have budget hearings, and maybe 5, 6 people come to the budget hearings. So, but we have budget hearings on each department, and they're open up to everybody. The budget is posted on the city's website. So, you know, I just think that people need to just gather the information, know where the information is at, and understand the process. And I would tell everybody and encourage everybody to go to the city's website and download the city's charter, and you'll see who's responsible for what, because that's important. For example, the planning board, the mayor appoints everybody to the planning board except for the council person, and the planning board is responsible for development in the city of Englewood. So that's one thing. Or the library board, or the environmental commission, or the health department. So what I'm saying to you is, you know, we have a different government structure. So understand that. So wherever your complaints may lie, or whatever you want to bring them to and everything, it allows you the opportunity to gather that information so you can make a concrete comments in terms of, but understand the process. And you know what? And God's honest truth is that you should ask your council people, your person, because they should know the process as well. They could explain it to you. So you could get to the right to the meat of your questions and your concerns, so you can get the proper responses. You know, because I am very concerned that people don't get the information that they need to get. You know, I'm going to address this right now, and I'm going to get out of loop. You know, people are talking about the tennis courts. Not one person is making that decision. But however, let's just talk about the tennis courts. Every tennis court owned by the city of Englewood is attached to a basketball court. So you would open up the tennis courts and not let the basketball courts be open. Think about who plays basketball. Think about who's playing tennis. You want to create that divide? You want to have that conversation? Everybody here, Englewood is not going to move forward unless everybody moves forward. I listened to this council speak tonight. I didn't hear anybody say they were ready to put some policies in place. I didn't hear it. And I know when they're shooting in town, listen, if they're shooting in the 4th ward, it affects the 1st ward. It affects the 2nd ward. It affects the 3rd ward. Maybe it didn't happen there, but it affects that. I didn't hear anybody call us and say, hey, man, how do y'all feel walking in your shoes like this when George Floyd happened? I didn't see nobody picking up the phone saying, hey, what are we going to do about this? We might have got an email here or there. Got a few calls from some religious leaders. I did. But you know what? This conversation tonight and what I heard tonight doesn't start anywhere, doesn't go in any direction until we admit that, listen, we got to get some policies and we got to work together. I'm hearing about somebody talking about tennis. We got people losing their lives in town. See, that's why we're not moving forward. And until we do this and bring everybody along, we're not going to go anywhere. We're not. Shame on everybody who sits on this council for not thinking of something else a little bit better to talk about. I got to tell you that. It's pretty embarrassing. What kind of example are we setting? We're the leadership, we're the policymakers. Let's make policy. Let's get together and make these policies so it works for people. It says Englewood is a progressive community. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Can't be progressive if other people are struggling. Just go to Saints and see us every day. See people struggling. Go see Coach Dion up there and Miss Suffering up there at the First Baptist Church. Listen, this is about all of us. And when you start saying I, there's a problem. And get the answers when they say certain council people or whatever. You know what? Wasn't me in the room by myself, but I'll tell you what. I did say, if you open it up, it'll be a problem. Just like the swimming pool. If everybody in there is if somebody's in there asymptomatic, what happens? Who's the people that are swimming in the pool? The most used people. We got to protect people against themselves. It's just that, you know what? When you live it, you walk it every day. Enough is enough. That's what I'm telling you. Enough is enough. Let's get down to making this community what we want it to be. You know, I mean, listen, everybody should have been talking about Councilman Heyman. What's going on in the 4th Ward? I didn't hear that. He brought it up.
Would have been helpful if you were notified of it.
No. What we said tonight, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we're saying. I'm just telling you, everybody talked, everybody had an opportunity to address it. They addressed what they felt they should or could or would. And I'm just saying, here it is. This is our reality. Our actions will define what we believe in. You can tell me anything, your actions can show me something different. That's all, that's all I'm saying. You know what? Everybody walks in different shoes. I know the shoes I walk in. I know what I have to do. And Englewood is suffering with that stuff right now. And everybody needs to recognize it, because in order for us to move forward, it's got to be all of us. You can't move forward if a few people move forward and nobody else moves forward. It just can't happen. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Listen, I'll give you an example, Councilwoman Rosenberg, since you spoke. Somebody sent the email to everybody on the council about tennis, and this person is on the line right now, except me. How do you miss me? I'm the first name that you go to when you go down the city, right? And I'm the council president. How does that happen? And everybody else gets the email, and some other people who weren't on the council get the email. And this has happened a few times. But you know what? I kind of blew it off. But you know what? I ain't blowing it off. Think about that. Just go back to your emails and just check some of them. And that's about tennis. I'm not letting that go. Because if that's the mindset we have here, we got to fix that first before we move forward. To me, it's just enough. I just, and I'm just telling you how I feel. And that's what I see. And I watched and I purposely said, let me see if anybody says, let's get some policies. What are we going to do as the governing body? So I challenged the governing body to do better. That's what I say. I'm open to working with everybody on the governing body to make this place better. I thank those who contributed to the resolution, and for those who did not, that's on them. They got to live with that. I hear Michael Cohen talking about, I wrote the resolution for Juneteenth. Okay, and what? What does that mean to me? Did he understand who he's talking to? That's an insult. I wrote that. Okay, thank you, Michael. You want me to say thank you for that? See, don't get it. Don't get it. And if that were the case, okay, you did it. That's good. But don't pander to me like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And everybody can think what they want to think. I ain't trying to bash nobody, because these are the facts. These are facts. That's all I'm saying. And if we want to make this town better, if something happens in the first ward, we all should come to the support of the person in the first ward who's leading that and making sure what kind of resources, what do you need? If it happens in the second, third, fourth, we should always do the same thing for everybody. But I know I've been accused of doing not certain things for certain. No. But I'm saying that's what should happen. And I hope that it happens, because we have problems here that we need to fix. We need to support Chief Suffren and his guys, and Deputy Halstead and those guys. They're working hard. We need to support Yancey and the city leadership working hard. The mayor knows he's there. He's in the meetings, but he knows. He knows where I'm at. And he knows me and him have gone back and forth. He'll tell you that too. But all I'm saying to you is, if somebody's saying I'm making decisions, no, we're not. I said, bring it to the council about the pool. That's a fact. I said, bring it to the council. And whatever they decide to do, that's what they'll do. And I said, the tennis courts as well. But I said, you know what? You'll have a problem. Right next to each court. See, because the thing of it is, I've played on every one of those courts, basketball courts, as a former basketball player. So I know where the tennis courts are right next to, in McKay Park, by Rock Creek, so on and so forth. And all we want to say is, you don't want to have one group of kids who can't play and another group of kids that can play. Is that fair? Maybe some people think that's fair. But if you say to all of them, when we do it for fairness for everybody, then everybody's happy. That's the way I looked at it. So if I'm wrong for that, I'll be wrong for that. But that's the way I looked at it, because that would create another dynamic. And that's why this world is where it's at today. That's what I was thinking about. I'll be honest with you. That's what I was thinking about. In this pandemic and all these other things, people are working hard. We're helping a lot of people, but there's a lot of people starving. We cut the grass at Liberty School. What happened over there? We find people sleeping under the bushes. People are struggling. We recognize that. So if they're struggling in one part of Englewood, that's our whole struggle. That's Englewood's struggle itself. So that's kind of like what I wanted to get out, unfortunately. But we have to sometimes have these conversations so we can continue to get better. That's what I look at this as working hard. And if you ask me, am I frustrated? Yes, I am. I'll be very honest with you. I'll be very honest with you for a lot of things and a lot of reasons. But I can't let things go that people are doing things and they think they get a pass. That's what I'll tell you. So, I'm going to stop right there and let the city manager say what she's going to say, acting city manager say what she's going to say. And I'm not going to even finish what I had to say, but I just hope that, and I thought that, and what we should be focusing on is policy and what policy and support and trying to make this city safe from a health perspective, but as a public safety perspective for everybody. And then providing the services that we need for everybody. That's all. That's what it is for me. I can't speak for anybody else. But when nobody is really talking about the meat and potatoes and the reality, and you gunshots, lives and deaths versus tennis, I don't think there's no discussion there. We want everybody to be safe. I would want that conversation, and I hear you, and I work with anybody to make it right. So I'm gonna move on from what I wanted to say and just say thank you for allowing me to vent a little bit tonight. And hopefully we could get better as a governing body to provide the services that the city of Englewood is expecting from us, because this affects everybody. Acting City Manager, your floor. You have the floor.
I'm not going to add much. I just want to thank Mayor, Council, department heads, all the city employees helping during this pandemic. It's just been a whirlwind of activity. Every other day, the governor comes out with a new order, a new ruling, a new anything, and we are finding ourselves constantly scrambling to keep up. From day one, it's just been a little difficult, but with the help of the staff and the amazing department heads that we have, it's been, we've been able to function and keep Englewood's government running and functioning. I just wanted to take the time to thank all of them for that.
Thank you. Now we're going to open up to the public session. Name, address, and you have 2 minutes. And we're going to be respectful in our comments to any and everybody here. We're going to start the decorum here at the city council meetings. We're going to change what we do. If you're going to be disrespectful, we'll cut you off before the 2 minutes is up. Yancy?
Okay, first one is Coach Dion.
Coach Dion.
You?
Coach, you gotta unmute. Where are you?
Okay. Hey, good evening, everyone, and how's everyone doing? And God bless you all. I just want to just lightly tap on a couple of issues with what's going on with the violence. It's very concerning, and we have to give the chief the support that he needs. I encourage everyone to please give him the support. Before we could go any further, that has to be taken care of. Let's be realistic here. Secondly, so, you know, I'm doing this program over at First Baptist Church about the 12th week, and we just cleared 20,000 meals. We're servicing families, which is a big difference if you do the math with the per family. So several weeks ago, I submitted a proposal to the city council president, and I was wondering what would be the status on it. And I also submitted a small note regarding why I needed these items, because it's very, very urgent. The heat is starting to really kick in now, and those items are definitely needed because we're moving. We're in a better place now with the project. That's where I'm at, and that's what my question is, if I can get a feedback. I really appreciate you guys. God bless you, and stay safe, everyone. And again, we have to support the chief. We gotta give him support. We gotta help. Okay, this is vital. Have a good one. God bless you all, and stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach. I think you submitted that to the Mayor Wiles, but I'll talk to him about that.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
I sent it over to you, Charles. You should have it in your email. Thanks again, Chef.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Diane Jensen.
Hi, Diane Jansen, 589 Richland Terrace. Even though we're on the other side of Englewood, our concern, our major concern, is safety in the city and the violence. And we feel if Black lives really matter, then we have to put an end to the violence in the city. So with everything that you said, Councilman Hamer, and everything that you said, Council President Cobb, we are so happy to have heard your voices tonight, loud and clear, and that we are one city and that we have to move forward together. And for anyone, I mean, the type of comments that I'm hearing are things like, why are cameras put up in the White's Corner section of the city when there are new buildings going up there? And what other things are being done in the Fourth Ward to help the residents actually in the other parts of the Fourth Ward? Those are the kinds of comments that are coming out. Chief Suffern, I thank you for everything that you've said and giving us the update. I only hope you'll give us some more proactive information. I understand a lot of things are confidential, but if you could please describe some of the initiatives that are not confidential that you could share with the public, it would help put them more at ease. And lastly, with respect to COVID, if you haven't heard the forum that Senator Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg conducted with CEO Michael Marin of Englewood, of Holy Name Health Hospital, as well as his Chief Medical Officer and Englewood Health, as well as some other systems. They are extremely, still extremely concerned. They wouldn't even, they're recommending not even to get on a plane unless it's absolutely necessary. My time is up, so I won't go on, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Can I go?
Max?
Can he go?
Can I go? While we're on the Jansens?
Oh, you have to put your hand raised at the
Okay.
bottom of the screen. There's a reactions button. Press raise hand and you'll be in line with everybody else. Everyone's waiting their turn right now.
All right, how's it going? My name is Max Goldberg. I am on Arch Road. I have a question for Chief Suffern. Chief, are you still on the call?
Yes, I am.
All right, it's great to finally put a face to the name, Chief Suffern. I have had an email thread with you and the mayor. The mayor pointed me to you and Sergeant Lucas in your department regarding firearms permit identification cards. So respectfully, me, my father, and a few other folks who I know have applied several months ago, actually 6 months ago, 3 months prior to COVID, and we still have not had an update from the department. And respectfully, we've reached out to the department several times and have not had our phone calls returned. We've been told that we should expect a call back within a few hours, and then we call, or that we should call back within a few hours. We call back, we leave a message, and then we don't hear back indefinitely. And so we are wondering, and we are a little bit concerned, and feel that Second Amendment rights are being infringed upon. That we have not heard back regarding the status of our firearms permits, and we would very much like to understand when citizens who applied over 6 months ago, again 3 months before COVID-19, can expect to hear back regarding the status of our permits.
You know what?
Thank you very much.
Chief, I think Max, you could take this
Really
offline with
grateful
the
for the
chief.
police.
Excuse me?
All that you guys do. Yeah. Respectfully,
Respectfully,
I've
I
tried
think
to take this off.
this topic.
Fine
This
with the chief. We've
topic
had
could be
email threads, and I've tried to
taken
coordinate calls and call the office. Yeah. That's all right with me, as long as the chief, I'd love to have a commitment that we can grab some time on the phone, maybe tomorrow, to discuss voice to voice, rather than having these delays or trying to reach you via email and leaving messages.
Council President, if it's okay with you, I'd like to answer for anybody else who may be on the call.
Yeah, you go ahead, Chief. It's yours. You got the floor, man. Go ahead.
Let's be clear that although the state has certain requirements that are in place for a certain turnaround period, there are a lot of underlying facts that take place during background investigations, the submittal of paperwork that is required, and it all does not come in the timely manner that everybody believes it comes in. In addition to the fact that the background checks are extensive due to the fact that we're handing out firearms permits, we just don't take things for granted. It has to be thoroughly investigated, and all avenues have to be addressed before it is recommended for an approval. Since the COVID has been in place, the various agencies, to include the New Jersey State Police, have not been processing things on a regular basis because they had personnel reassignments as a result of the COVID virus. So the things that we would be waiting on or waiting for them to give us the approval on has not come through as it would normally do. There is currently a backup in, at the very least, the state police and some of the mental health checks that are going on. And there is now a backup in most local departments as a result of it. In addition to that, there has been an increase in the request for firearms permits, where there are currently in the queue over 150 firearms applications that have been put in since April of 2020. So we, along with the state police and other agencies, are dealing with that in an effort to try and catch up with the backlog and give everybody their permit or firearms ID card in a timely manner.
So again, I states, you know, the folks who I have talked to, their state background check has gone through, their mental health background check has gone through, and we are really just trying to get an ETA for when permits that were applied for and then background checks completed over 6 months ago in December, when we can expect to hear back. And again, we understand that everyone is swamped, but it is excessive delays since this is prior to COVID. So for, again, anyone on the call, I would really appreciate if you could give some sort of ETA about when we can expect to have some sort of answer on the permits.
Well, what I will say is my personnel will continue on the path of doing it as expeditiously as possible. I don't know where your application is as far as the alignment that it's in and the ranking that it's going to be issued in. I can tell you that the personnel will continue to work diligently to get out as rapidly as possible.
Okay, so no specific ETA of time that we can expect permits to be responded to.
That is correct. There is no estimated time. It depends on various factors, where you are in the queue, what information needs to be added to your application process for it to be set for final approval.
Roger, and I'll just end by noting that I've done some research, and I know that a lot of other municipalities have been turning them around in 7 to 30 days, and that I am really, really appreciative of you. You've kept my family and me safe for the past 20 years of my life, and I really appreciate it, so thank you so much.
Nancy, thank you.
Next is Naomi, I'm sorry if I'm going to say it wrong, Kazoo.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. I'll lower my hand. I want to, at the outset, just thank Chief Suffern, Councilman Cobb, and Councilman Hamer, who I know we've been trying to get in touch over the past couple of weeks. You addressed my concern that I had about the gun violence that I was hearing about in the previous council meeting session. And I'm glad that it's a priority for the city that you know, we are working towards, and I hope that it is something we can find a resolution to. And I certainly make myself available if there's anything I can do as a member of the community to help in those efforts. My question is regarding the primary election on July 7th. I have received my mail-in ballot, but I'm just wondering, is there an option for voting in person if for some reason I can't get my ballot out in a timely manner? Thank you.
Yancy, you want to answer that one?
There are about 6 other drop-off boxes if you don't want to send it out in the mail. Check on the county website, they're there. We're working on a statement as well to release soon with those locations. The county did not choose Englewood as one of those locations. The closest to us is Fort Lee. As far as voting at a polling location, we have established 4 in the city, 1 per ward, but voting in the machine is only allowed for those who have a disability. The county classified disabilities as people who are blind, illiterate, or otherwise unable to fill out a form, a paper form. So if you don't fall into those categories, you must vote by mail-in ballot and either mail it to the via regular mail to the county or drop it off at one of their drop boxes.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Charlena Fields Hobson. Charlena?
Charlene?
Charlena, gotta unmute.
Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to see everybody's well, safe. I'd like to thank the City Council. Mr. Cobb, you know, I pressed for that flashing stop sign. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you again very much.
You're welcome.
Secondly, the fireworks. I mean, fireworks have been going off since Friday of last week, almost every night. It's not quite 10 o'clock, but I'm sure it's going to start about 10 o'clock here in the 3rd Ward around Leveson, Herzog, and Oakland Street. I mean, I know there are other pressing matters with the shootings that have gone on here in town, but what can we do? Because 10, 11 o'clock, this can go on sometimes till midnight. That's my question. What can be done?
Chief?
Good evening, Ms. Hobson. The best thing you could do is call us when it is going on so we can try and identify the exact location where it's emanating from so we can try and take the appropriate criminal action against those people. Unfortunately, we have experienced it far beyond the normal 4th of July, and it seems to be a trend because not only in New Jersey, but also in New York, they are experiencing the same issues where fireworks for some reason have started at an early time frame and have been a problem in most communities.
I mean, is there? I mean, I don't know. I didn't look it up, but are they? Obviously, people are getting them, so they are legal.
No.
Am I on point with that?
No, the fireworks that you're referring to are most likely illegal.
Okay. But, you know, this is, I mean, like I said, it hasn't started. It's not quite 10 o'clock, but about 10 o'clock, that's what time they start over here in this area.
Okay.
My neighbors are doing it right now.
Thank you. Charlene, you finished? You good?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Again, everybody stay safe.
You too. You too. Nancy, who's next?
It says iPhone. Just before they start, I'm receiving questions on how to raise your hands. At the bottom of the screen, again, reactions. Press on that. There's a raise hand option. Just click on that, and then you'll be put in queue with everybody else. So I don't know who iPhone is.
That's me.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. Good evening. I'd just actually like to respond. I had made a commentary in the chat to Cheryl Rosenberg, and she stated back that she'd been at First Baptist volunteering every week, and I've been there for the last 10 weeks, and I haven't seen you. So when I'm referring to the issue, what I said in the chat was, you know, people worrying about tennis courts and not seeing it as the things that are really going on in town. This is quite concerning. And when that is, you know, your main focus, that shows the divide. And if you're not concerned, if you're more concerned about having to pay racket fees at a racquetball club versus somebody's life or hurting somebody else, that's really quite shameful. In addition to the fact that there's extreme food insecurity in this town. So I've been out there at least the last 10 weeks and servicing the people of this community, doing 400 or so families or better. So it's quite concerning, and I certainly, unfortunately, I must have missed you somewhere because I haven't seen you in the hours that I spend there.
I guess you have, because other people on this call can both attest to my presence and the fact that I send it out every week and publicize it, especially.
Oh, you certainly send it out every week. I know, but your presence.
No, I'm there also. Others on this call can attest to that.
Who can attest to that?
Chef Dion could attest.
Chef Dion, I know you're still here.
Jeff
He's-
Dion. Um, Mr. Cobb,
Yes, ma'am. What happened?
they were requesting that Chef Dion join the dialogue, but we.
I don't think anyone
Yeah,
needs
he's.
me to
I
join.
don't see.
Everyone
I don't
who's
see
been there
him.
has seen me there. People can attest.
I don't see him. I don't see him. He's on, but he's not in there. So we can move on for that, and we can debate this offline. I know both of these folks, so we can take that debate.
Just one thing, can I have your name for the record if you don't mind?
Sure, Courtney Johnson Suffern.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
I don't think we've ever met.
Who's next?
Samuel Griffin. Mr. Griffin?
Mr. Griffin.
Hi, how you doing? I hope everybody's safe right now during this pandemic. Information, I have a couple of questions here. I'm going to try to run through them as fast as possible in my 2-minute slot here. You did bring up the planning board. Is that information public of who's on that plan? Okay, and that will be online on the City of Englewood website.
Right, the members are there. They get appointed by the mayor. So whenever vacancies come up, and the mayor can speak for himself, that people normally, I guess, submit a resume and they have a conversation with them. But
okay,
it should be reflective of our community. I will tell you that. It should reflect
Samuel,
whatever the whole
it is reflective of our community, and if you have an interest in serving on it, there's going to be a vacancy soon. I'd love to sit down with you or have a conversation and see what your background is, and if you're interested in serving on that or any other board in the city for that matter, whether I appoint or the council appoints.
Okay, definitely. I sorry I didn't introduce myself again though. Samuel Griffin, 208 Warren Street. I did also have a question about Resolution 144, the Bergen County Community Development Program. I just wanted to know if you guys can dig into more of what that resolution is. And I mean, I saw some terms that I didn't understand, like the Community Development Block Grant Program. What is that for? The Home Investment Partnership Program and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. What are those initiatives, if you can tell me?
You know what, Sam? If you want, look on the website, send me or Mr. Hamer an email. We'll email you exactly what it is, okay?
All right, not a problem. Hey, Mr. Hamer, me and Mr. Hamer, he's watched me grow with his sons. So, you know, we got a relationship.
Hey, Sam, you're coaching my nephew there.
Oh yeah, Ryan, correct?
No, Joshua Cavanis.
Oh, Josh. Oh, get on Josh, but that's another conversation. I know that we started the meeting talking about the recreation and the baseball field in McKay being done over. I just wanted to know, is there a timeline of when that work will start and when it should end?
Where's Mr. Volsi? There he is.
First, we have to apply for the grant. If we get the grant, then it's typical with a lot of grants, we have 2 years time to complete the project.
Okay.
So the first thing is to actually obtain the grant first.
Okay, so within the next 3 years.
Hey, Franz, let's be clear. There was one grant we did get for the Little League field, right?
Yes, that one we are getting, and that one we're working on.
That one we're working on. So that's what I'm saying. So Sam, that's what he's talking about, the Little League field.
Oh,
Right.
gotcha.
We already got that grant. We're working on that one. The other one he's talking about, what they talked about tonight, is the one with the turf field.
The turf field, that's correct.
That's other monies that we get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have a timeline for that? Because I know that was something that we started the meeting with, and I just wanted to know a timeline of when that would be started.
Just so we're clear, the turf field, we have to obtain the grant first. Once we obtain the grant, we have 2 years to get it done. The natural field, we actually have the grant already, so that is something we're working on now to have completed.
But you don't have a timeline for that? Oh,
no, we are trying to get this done by the fall. By the end of this year, we're trying to get the field done and over with.
Okay, that sounds great. I just had 3 more questions. I know because you guys
You're running out of your 2 minutes. Come on.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna choose a good one. My wife is here telling me choose a good one. All right, so with everything that's going on, I was a part of the first march because of COVID. I kind of, took myself away from the marches, just to isolate and things like that. And I felt like this meeting is where my voice can really be heard and things can be changed. My question is, what is the council's plan to create a better relationship between the cops and the community? And Chief, you're on. I didn't get to ask this question. I was a part of the Englewood Police Department Zoom meeting a couple weeks ago. I didn't get to ask this question, but I definitely would love to hear some ideas. And I know Mayor Wilds talked about meeting with Ainsworth Minot, and I think the body cams in Englewood is one thing I really want to see. But and also, is there any way that I can help? So I did have some ideas, but I think we could talk about that later. But I just want to hear some ideas that the council has come up with creating a relationship between the community and the police department.
Well, I think that if you heard what I said tonight, if we don't have a plan, we're going to get a plan. But we're working with, and we're supporting Chief Suffern. I feel comfortable saying that the council as a whole is supporting his efforts and what we need to do. And part of the extension is giving him the resources where he can go out, and they're going out and building that relationship with the community. That's not going to be something that happens overnight. I believe that it's incumbent upon each council member and the mayor to extend ourselves to start to build these relationships on the ground as well. But it also takes everybody in the community to work together with one another to make this work. And, this is all about participation. So we'll make this community, when I say we, everybody who lives in the city of it, we'll make this community be what we want it to be. And we have to support each other. We got to support the young folks that are coming through. We got to support the kids that are in the school systems, whatever activities they are doing. We have to support one another. We have to work together. And we have to break down these walls and these isolations and whatever, and come together and say, hey, this is what we're going to do for our community. So I think we have to keep this conversation, Sam, on the front burner at every council meeting, talking about what we're doing. We got to engage each other and ask the tough questions. And saying what we need to do, and we can focus on it. But I have confidence in this council that we will get there. We just got to work on it, man. And just, it's not easy. It's not one answer. And I don't think any of us have all the answers, but I think we have to have frank conversation with each other and be willing to do the work. So let's keep going at it, and feel free to call me and call me out if you want to, if I'm not doing something you believe I should be doing,
No, definitely. I believe you guys. Wayne got my vote for sure this year to represent the 4th Ward. So I think I definitely going to lean on him to keep pushing forward, because I grew up in Englewood, and seeing the stuff that's going on, I think that if we did have those resources, some of the resources that we're using to build these $1 million estates was used to build a community center, maybe these kids wouldn't be dealing with all these guns and things of that nature. But again, that's for another.
That's for another conversation. We're going to have one of those. We're going to have one of those conversations. So, we'll get your information and we'll invite you to that. We're going to have some conversations about that for the kids. For all the kids, it's important for all of us, So that's other, so we'll look for you and your support on that thing. Okay.
Mr. Cobb, just briefly, I would urge you, Samuel, if you don't mind, to join us this Friday at 11 o'clock, if you can do it, for the coffee with the mayor, because I will be going into deeper dive on the conversations that need to happen in the community with the police department. Again, body cams, civilian community relations, all of those issues. I know Naomi joins us. Newer residents have to have the assurance and safety. And bottom line, the deputy chief coined it well the other day. a bad egg can get somebody killed, and we have to know that everything from disciplinary to biases and things like that that are developed are weeded out, and that we have a chance to have that assurance of the stellar department that we do for every resident. So please join us if you'd like on Friday. I'll be doing a deeper dive. I didn't review it in my remarks because I didn't want to take away from the evening, but I have a lot of content to add.
Where will that meeting be, or how can
11 o'clock online. Either you can get the Zoom coordinates from the library, or you can just watch the FaceTime live on the library page at 11. Or if you reach out to me tomorrow at City Hall, I'll make sure you get the coordinates on Zoom so you can actively participate.
Okay, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Sam.
Yep.
You went over your 2 minutes. That's some sprints for you. Nancy?
It says Diane Jensen, but I'm assuming it's Peter.
It's Peter Jensen. He's not allowed to have his own phone. Let's go.
We're trying to save money here.
I got you, man. I hear you.
One internet line at a time. No, I just wanted to take
Say your name and address.
Pete Jansen, 589 Ridgeland Terrace. I just wanted to show my appreciation for Council President Cobb for giving us all a priority check on what we need to do and how we need to proceed, because that's the first step in getting the tires on the road, and that's where the rubber hits the road. I also want to thank two councilmen, Councilwoman Glynn and Councilman Hamer, for also bringing up the concerns about violence and what needs and that they may have and what support they may need, and also to support our chief of police. We all have to work together on this, because I don't live in the second ward. I live in Englewood, and I live where these acts of violence have occurred, and I feel for no matter where they happen in the city, that's my city. And that's why I think we need to focus and be as a one city, not as these different wards and these other geographic breakdowns. And finally, I just want to thank our mayor, Mayor Wilds, for engaging with the community. He's always out there. He's marrying people. I think I want to go get married or something. Again.
All right.
Thank you.
You're gonna get in trouble. At that point, we're gonna. Your 2 minutes is up. Okay, before you get in trouble.
That would be double jeopardy.
Thank you, Pete. Yancy, anybody else?
Yes, we have several. Jonathan Krantz.
Yes, thank you. President Cobb, first of all, I think one of your earlier comments was addressed to me about the tennis. And if I left you off that email, that was inadvertent, and I owe you an apology for that. That was not intentional in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So I'll respect you on that. Thank you.
Right.
And I also want to speak directly to your comments earlier, because I heard everything you said and I listened to what you said.
Right.
And you said, and I wrote it down, you said, do we want to have the tennis courts open and the basketball courts closed? Do we want to create that kind of divide? That's what you said. And I agree with you.
Right.
We don't want to create that kind of divide.
Correct.
We want to bridge the gap.
Correct.
We've got health issues going on. We've got social going on. You know it. I play basketball on those Broad Avenue courts, and I play tennis too.
Okay.
And it's a great place for people to come together,
Right.
all walks of life from
Right.
all over the city. And you know that, and you've seen it. And that's why my son played Little League for all the years that he did.
Yep.
So it's not just about opening up a tennis court just for the
Right.
sake that some people want to play tennis. I
Right.
play basketball too. I want everything open.
Okay.
But it's more than that, though. It's even
Right.
more.
That's right.
Because,
That's
because
right.
the friendships and the relationships I've made on those courts, go much further than any sport I would play. But also because of the health situation, I don't have to tell you, there's a physical, mental, emotional need that we have to be outdoors and recreating. It was already referenced that the Governor Murphy, in his Executive Order 147, said, look, things like tennis and archery and horseback riding, those are one-on-one sports. You can do those socially safe, distance-wise. We don't have those concerns. He said that a month ago. And many towns around us have done it. I go to Votee Park in Teaneck. The basketball courts are closed. I've played on those courts too. But the tennis courts are open, and everyone in Teaneck, not some, everyone uses
Hey, John, I will tell you, I hear what you're saying, and I can't speak for Teaneck, but I am very sensitive to this here, and I know how it would end up, right? And nobody more than me wants all this stuff to be open. but nobody more than me doesn't want to create what we already got going on here. You know what I'm saying? If we're trying to stitch this thing back together, right, and we don't want to blow it up, and I get it. Trust me, it troubles me each and every day that we can't do this. Honestly, and I don't agree with how the governor's done it. I would tell him if he was sitting right here, I say you're creating dynamics that other people have to fix, and that's what it is. But listen, for sure, when it happens, we'll be happy, and I'll come up there and see what your game is all about. You know.
There we go.
You know what I mean?
And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I'm
okay,
ready.
now, so listen, and that's a good thing, and I'm okay with that. But I got to, I'm glad that you spoke up. We had this conversation, and this is how things work their way out, and we work to be better. And this is what I'm talking about for this town. Listen, if we take it personal, that means if we want to take it personal to make it better, not to take it personal at personal people, right? So that's my engagement on this thing, and my commitment is to make this thing better, make people safe, and continue to work. And I believe the members on the council will do that as well, because if they're going to challenge, we're going to challenge each other to get this right, because we all have a vested interest in getting it right, because you folks have elected us to do that for them. So you know what? Let's keep it up, and let's see if we can get this thing done. Let's see what happens.
I appreciate it. It's one city, it's one love. And it's as quick as you can get those courts open in a safe way, like many other towns.
I hear you.
All your residents out there,
listen,
and everyone's going to be happier, not just me.
Yancy will let me know as soon as the order comes. She'll say, "Hey," and I'll be like, "Okay."
All right. And then
sometimes I'm a little tough. I'm a little concerned, but she knows. But listen, you know what? Every day we were meeting 5 days a week at 3:00 to talk about this stuff. Now we just went to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? So tomorrow we'll have a meeting, and if something changes, then we'll deal with it.
And I want to say that I know there are a lot of heavy issues that are being discussed. They're all super important. Tennis is one small piece, but guess what? Little pieces sometimes they make big differences. You know that.
Yeah,
so that's where I'll end right there.
I got you. Appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
One word also, Charles John. Other mayors in other towns are going through all kinds of contortions, and they go at different paces. I believe that everybody who participates in these calls loves all the children, all sports. The schools have their tennis open, the city doesn't, but there are a lot of multiple values that are being evaluated. Don't worry, people really do want to open them up. It's just a matter of timing.
Yep. Yancy, anybody else?
Joe Hoyle, and then I have Jack.
What Joe Hoyle? Joe Hoyle Jr. or Senior?
Junior.
Oh, okay. The football coach.
Yes, sir.
Senior.
The
other father.
Joe Hoyle Jr., 57 West Ivy Lane. I appreciate everyone really addressing a lot of the violence in town. In light of that, there is a young man, there's a family that lost a father. And, I coach a young man, and his name is Dalen Wade Perry. He's a student athlete at Stanford University. He's on the Dean's right now. He's on the football team. And that kid is really down. His mother's been out of work. He just lost his father, and he's not in school. He's not training, the way he's supposed to be. And that family is really hurting. And, I was talking to the mom, and she really needs, and this is just for the council, Mayor Wiles, she really needs to feel you guys' presence. I don't know if reach out to her. The family is really down. They take a pretty big hit. And this young man is a huge influence on so many kids, even my own son, and I don't want that kid to feel like the city doesn't have his back.
Okay.
What's the person's name, Joe?
All right.
Dalen Wade Perry.
Yeah, but okay, Joe, we got it.
All right. No, that's it. I just wanted to
yeah.
keep guys' heads up on
that. Yeah. Okay, I got you. I know. Okay. Who's next? Joe Hoyle Senior now?
I'll go. Am I in the queue, Yancy?
I know you had sent me through the chat that you can't raise your hand, and also Jack Silberman. So the both of them, they can't figure out how to raise their hands, but they're both in queue.
All right, Joe's talking. Let him go first.
All right. First of all, I'd just like to add to what my son just spoke about the young man that lost his father the other day, Perry. There's going to be a vigil at Shiloh church on William Street tomorrow at 7:30 in remembrance for that young man. So if we can all find some time to come out and show our presence and support towards the family, that'd be a great thing. That's going to be at 7:30 at Shiloh.
Okay, Reverend Givens, right?
Yes, and I would also like to thank the city council for coming out to the flag raising. I want to thank our council president for assisting and facilitating that on such a short notice. I'd also like to thank the acting city manager, Yancey, for her due diligence in helping us make this happen with the flag raising in such a short period of time. One of the reasons why it was short notice was we were trying to wait to see how the developments on the COVID virus was developing throughout the state and in the town. And it looked like things were turning a corner, and the governor started announcing opening up the state in the phases. And we thought that it would be a good opportunity to go ahead and do the flag raising before Juneteenth. So that was an opportunity for us to get the flag raising in. Back in March, we had to cancel the event due to the vendors that we are involved with the event. We had to give them notice. So we canceled the event back in March. I would also like the city of Englewood to consider writing our legislators a letter or taking a position to make Juneteenth a state holiday. And not only stop it making Juneteenth a state holiday, but also throwing our support behind making Juneteenth a national holiday. So I would really hope that the city of Englewood would consider taking up a position with the governor and as well as, well, our current president right now, but the legislators in Washington and in Congress in Washington about making Juneteenth a national holiday. But,
sounds good. I think it's an opportunity to learn. I've learned a lot the last week or whatever, especially, just it's an opportunity for us to learn, everybody.
It would be great to see Englewood out in front of that one. And we talk about Englewood being a progressive city and all of that.
Yep.
It would be great to see Englewood out in front of that. And it's not just a holiday that's going to identify African Americans, but it's a holiday that's going to identify the history of the United States. A lot of people don't want to talk about that history, but it's painful and it can be joyful once we celebrate it together.
Yep. Sounds good, man.
That's just one of the things.
I got you.
I don't want to get caught up with my 2 minutes, but I would like to say that I heard you guys say that the bulk pickup was coming back online, that you guys were going to start doing the bulk pickup. However, on my street on Elmo Avenue, there's been debris out at the curb in front of one particular address, and I'm being told that there's nothing that anyone can do about it. They can't even put a red sticker on the resident's door to identify that you shouldn't have that debris out at the curb. It's been out at the curb for 3 weeks now, 3 weeks. And if that's the case, we need to change what we're doing, because that shouldn't be, that you could just put debris out on the curb and walk away. And nothing.
We'll take care of that. We'll take care of that tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll look into that. Yep. You got an address for us?
That's what I was going to say. Out to me and give me an address.
72.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see the council. I see Nancy and the council, 4-4 councilman writing. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Nancy, who else do we have?
Jack Silverman.
Okay.
Jack, you have to unmute yourself.
No, it was just taking me a second. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Jack Silverman, 320 Murray Avenue. Two comments. The first one has to do with, I think I'd recommend we come up with a way to test out the phone line before the meetings, because I tried twice to get in via phone. So did Sandy Greenberg, and it's not working. And then because of that, I didn't have access to my computer for part-time, and I missed a good part of the meeting. I really wanted to hear what everyone had to say, and I came in while you were speaking, Charles. But what I did glean from that kind of bothered me, and if I got it wrong, I'm sorry, and then you can correct me, but it sounded like you're equating tennis as something that it seemed like we wanted everybody to get together, and we're not paying attention to we're in our own camps, white and black. But it sounded like you were describing tennis as the white sport, and then the pool or basketball is something that the blacks are only doing and black people are only doing, and it's not. That's just totally not true. I mean,
well, you know what? This is what I'll say to you, Jack. This is what I'll say. No. This is what I'll say to you, and you listen to what I'm going to say to you. That's not what I'm equating it to. Me and Jonathan had that conversation. He understands it clearly. You watch him bobbing his head. It was not that. And what it boils down to is that we didn't want to open up one thing and not open up something else for the other kids. So we didn't want to create a divide. That's simply what I said. That's all. So everybody would, wait, let me finish. So everybody would have the same opportunity, and you wouldn't have kids feeling that, well, they opened up the tennis courts, but they didn't open up the basketball courts, because that creates something. You have to have you got to have your boots on the ground to understand the dynamics. Jonathan plays up there. He knows the dynamics. He knows what's right next door. He knows. So that's what I was saying. It's not anything other than that. Please don't make it anything other than that, because that's what it is.
Also playing into stereotypes, if we're actually saying that the black...
You know what, Jack? I just told you, don't make it something it's not. That's what I'm saying to you. This is the reason why. We didn't want one group of people to say they were playing and the other group were not. All the tennis courts and the basketball courts are connected together. So listen, if you got a group of kids who want to play basketball, then they can't play. And they're right there watching the kids playing tennis. Is that fair to them? No, it's not. It's not. So we said, listen, open it up at the same time if that's going to work. That's all. That's all it is. We're not making it no more than what it is. And please don't make it no more than what it is. It's you know what? That's when people process things. That's when we have these problems. That's why I'm saying it's not that. It is what I just said it is. It's no different than that. Jonathan, if I said something wrong, incorrect.
Well, I just if you allow me to jump in, I'd be happy to. And let me just say this. Let's just speak about facts and reality. And I play on the Broad Avenue basketball courts and tennis courts, and I have for 16 years. And we get everybody down there from all over the neighborhood, and that's the beauty of the whole darn thing. And if we want to bring peace and understanding in our city, that's going to be one way we do it. But I will say this. We don't have to wait for the basketball courts to open. That's a contact sport. I play it. We sweat. We set picks. We rebound. Football, baseball, all these things are contact sports. They're physical. They're teams. They're groups. Governor Murphy didn't put it in his executive order for that reason. It's just common sense. Tennis court, you should know it. Broad Avenue, very diverse. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And all I'm saying is don't hold up tennis for basketball. Just like it at Votee Park. Go over there. It's the same dynamic. Nobody's complaining, hey, why are the basketball courts closed? But just believe me when I say, when you open up even one part of that, you're bringing people together. You're not creating a divide. You're bringing them together.
And as I said to you before, the dynamic is the kids from over across the road are going to come in and say, I can't play basketball. That's what I do. They're going to come to us and say, we can't do that. And you don't want to feel, in this point, in this environment, nobody wants anybody to feel disenfranchised. And we have to work at our best to make sure that we work on this to weave these things together so everybody feels included. Because that's what people are not feeling today. It's not inclusive. And you know what? We have to do better. And when I say better, when I say we, it's all of us. Everybody who's on here has to do better, because that's just the way it is. And listen, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, and I'm not saying anybody else is right or wrong. But what I'm saying is there's work to be done. We all know that, whether we want to admit it here or not. And you know what? I know those kids up there, and I know people up there, and I know how they would feel. They'd be like, hey. And then you're going to say, what are they going to do? Stand there They can't play?
I think those guys
listen,
on the
they're not playing in McKay Park, right?
let me tell you something. I don't have to tell you this, Mr. President. The people of this city have done incredibly well during COVID and during all the other issues we have overall. And I don't underestimate them, and neither do you, and neither does the council. And we know people rise above, and they understand. People understand. People understand. And what I would say is, if you speak to the mayors in other cities just to get their experience, hey, you opened up the tennis court, but get over the basketball court. Did you have a riot on your hands, or did people say, oh, no, I get it?
Well, listen, you know what? Here's what I'll say. How long you been here? 16 years, right?
16 years, yeah.
My kid's been here longer than you. So
all right,
I'm just going to tell you, the coaches have been here, Griffin and Hoyle and all these guys. They lived up there. They know what will transpire. This is what I'm saying. This is when we have to learn from each other. This is when we have to learn from each other. And so you have to trust me on this one with the environment. You have to learn from each other about why. You know, it's not that we want to do that, but it's sometimes to keep things moving and keep the peace, you have to do that. You know what I'm saying? You just don't want people to feel disenfranchised. And it's important when you're not having school, you're not having proms, you're not having summer camp, you're not having all these not havers, right? It's very easy for people to get all worked up. And if we can keep it calm for a little bit longer and say, okay, guess what? We got it, we could go. If I knew that they could play contact and everybody's going to be safe, and I know everybody's going to be safe, that's a good thing. That takes stress off of the people who are responsible for making these decisions, right? You know, this is not easy every day for us to do that. So, but anyway, Jonathan, we'll keep working at this, man. Promise.
It's a good conversation, and I appreciate you for having it.
Charles, if to your point, and Jonathan, to your point, you know, I think Courtney coined it well. When there's a community that is dealing with food insecurity, you have to pick the things that you're going to focus on.
Yep.
I do believe that each member of the council is coming from a position of care, and some are more cautious than others. While the school system tennis courts are open, our health officer has opined, whether it's pools with chlorine or the contagion being killed outside, that there are values in getting people engaged outside, walking, and doing the sport that they like. But the superarching concern, to my mind as mayor, are the shootings in one ward, the opening up of tennis courts in the other ward. And we have to, at most, and at all times, be engaging with one another on an equal standard. And I personally, whether I feel the pools and the tennis courts should be open, I'm deferring to the city leadership who have been here longer and understand the blind spots, if you would, in our rear view mirrors. And I would just urge the same measure of patience, because I think everyone's concern comes from a point of love and care, and eventually it'll moot itself out when contact sports are coming in. You know, I sit every week also on calls with the governor and other mayors, and we have a very different dynamic in our city. And with the police now needing to bring themselves out to the community, and with things being reopened, it's just a short measure of time till this will come together. But I think the conversation is so important as a community for us to be engaged, that you understand. I came into the meeting, I said, of course we should open it. The health director says this, the chief says this, and so. But you know what? I spent a lot of time listening, and I think patience is a real virtue here. And you've been extraordinary. And I say this to everybody here. Let's use some of that energy to make sure that we understand. It's not that the police chief doesn't want to give firearm permits. It means that there are people that are COVID positive, and there's protocol in there, and that things have to still go through the system. And and truthfully, I've come to respect people that I've disagreed with, and I support them. And I think as a community, we have to understand that it comes from a point of love and dialogue. And this is a healthy yet uncomfortable conversation, but we should continue this.
Oh, it's good. Nancy, we got anybody else in the queue?
I didn't get my 2 minutes. Remember, everyone started talking over me and you interrupted me.
You got your wait a minute.
I did not.
You got your 2 minutes. You know what? You're pretty bad with time there, buddy.
No, not at all. You started taking over. I didn't even finish my point. You interrupted just like last time. Charles, please don't do that to me.
Hey, Jack, Jack, listen. Let me explain something to you. Don't do this. Hey, listen, don't do this. Don't. So who would you say?
Cut me off last time. Don't
listen.
anymore.
You know what? You're not going to be disrespectful, Jack. Nobody's going to play that game with you. Nobody's going to play that game. What? Excuse me?
Amazing that you would cut me off like that.
I'm not cutting you off.
You're talking about stuff. I was talking about an issue, and then I allowed the other guy, John, to take over, and he had another 4 or 5 minutes himself. Why would you do that to me? Every time I try to help this city out all the time.
Jack,
I was sitting online so Sandy Greenberg could hear me.
Listen, Yancey, let's go on.
I think I had to take over my minutes. I didn't get you. You heard me for about 30 seconds. I didn't even finish my point.
You want me to? Okay.
You want me to mute me?
Okay. No one else has their hand up?
Chime in on this one?
Who else is there?
Some people want to make a comment.
Let him go ahead. Go ahead. Talk. Go ahead.
Okay. As I was saying, I just want to know what groups you're talking about, and I can make you don't have to make a comment about it. I mean, you don't have to come back. I'm questioning.
I said what I said.
You interrupted.
No, but you interpret something the wrong way.
I have to finish my thought. I get to say whatever I want, though.
You know, so do I. So do I.
I'm not a tennis player anymore. I was a former tennis player. I just think
end the story.
Give people opportunities on the merits of the particular sport. I think people in this town can be sophisticated enough, and the kids can learn to understand that there's different kinds of sports out there. Some of them are contact and some are not contact. And in fact, it goes into my thinking about the pool. You know, the Lake of the Ozarks, that ridiculous situation there, people were on top of each other, and there were, I think, only 2 cases of a couple of 100 people or more in that pool. And I'm not saying that's a great scenario to have, but I think you can put some logical restrictions in place and have that pool open and keep the kids or anyone, adults, away from each other to a certain extent. And then it's going to be quite a safe situation in there. I mean, you go by what the health officer says, sure, but don't make it a political issue. Make it really, these things should be determined one by one. And I think there has to be understanding on both sides, because you're talking about groups, and it seems very apparent to me, the way I was interpreting what you were saying, you're talking about the white people are playing tennis, and I'm not talking about Jonathan, what you said with Jonathan, what I heard you say, that white people are mostly playing tennis, and black
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. If you're going to quote me right. That's not what I said. And you listen, that's it. Let's move. Let's go. I have no time for this, really. I really don't have no time for this. I really don't. So, you know what? If you're going to quote somebody, you say it right, but that's not what we said. And in the spirit of this meeting tonight, we had a very good and I believe productive meeting tonight. And people were able to say whatever they want to say. And so I'm going to keep it on the up note. Yancey, let's go.
Council President, I have one more comment to make regarding the community policing.
Yep.
If that's all right.
Go ahead.
I know that we've been talking about community policing tonight, but it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around community policing when none of the police are from Englewood. So I'm saying that to say that that's something that we should be considering investing in the community with a recruitment program, just to put the opportunity out there to residents that live in Englewood, so they'll know that there is an opportunity where they can serve their community. A lot of them don't know about it until the announcement's made, and then there are life things happening with them where they might not be able to take the opportunity right away like that because they didn't see it coming. But if we have a recruitment program in place, that's something that we'll have direct contact with our residents, and that could spread to something even better than just the community policing.
Yep.
Because no one put a gun to my head and told me to live in town once I became a firefighter,
right,
and volunteer in town once I became a firefighter, and pay my taxes and go to the merchants in town. I do all of that. and my tax dollar circulates right back into the community. But we're losing by just hiring people that are not from the community. And I'm not saying close it out to people that are not from the community. I am not saying that, but I'm saying that as a council, you would think that you guys would be thinking of ways to try to keep the tax dollar right here in this city. We're talking about budgets all the time and the shortfalls, but no one's ever talking about how to keep the tax dollar right here and circulate in this community. And that's something that we need to get serious about.
Yep, okay. Nancy?
Oh, there's a Kobe K that raised his hand.
Hi, yes. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. I have a quick question. What is the procedure for opening the tennis courts? Is it a vote by the city council? Is it Councilman Cobb that, you know, is leading this and has a dictatorship role in determining, you know, if the tennis courts open up? I'm not really understanding what the big deal is when every single other court around us in New Jersey almost has tennis courts open. It makes Englewood a disgrace. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's not a racial issue. It's not a racial issue. So I really hope you can reconsider this. And I hope that the council can vote on it, because I know Cheryl's okay with it. And I know Michael's okay with it. And I know Mayor Wiles is okay with it. So I'd love to hear what Councilman Glenn has to say on this matter as well. Thank you.
So Kobe, let me respond to you. You're right. It's not a dictatorship, but I could tell you what it is. It's a safety issue. So whatever whatever Councilwoman Rosenberg said to you, or Mayor Wiles said to you, or whoever, if they want, they could say it to me. But it's not a dictatorship. And if you listen to what I said, you would understand, and you would hear that I explained why that is. So I hopefully you understand that.
I understand that. I just wish it could be put up.
Well, listen. When you wanna talk to people in a respectful way, the dictatorship. I don't get where you're going with that. This is why we're where we're at today in this community. But the dictatorship, where'd you get that from? Where's that?
Well, I'd love to put it up to a vote then, just to see.
Listen, but it's not up to you. It's not up to you. But I'm saying to you. But excuse me.
I'm suggesting it.
No, but see, you've already pushed the envelope to the edge. You've already done that.
I don't think so. But
let me say this to you. If Councilwoman Rosenberg, Glenn, Cohen, Mayor Wiles don't have a vote. Let me tell you, read the charter. He'll tell you that. He don't have a vote. But he also told you his feelings as well. So just figure that out. So it's okay for, we're going to open this up, but we're not going to open this up. And I explained it to you. I mean, I don't know what else I got to do to that, but when you call me a dictator, you can't take that back. Understand what you just did. That's not the way we work here in Englewood.
I apologize.
That's not the way you get things done. That's not the way you work with people. That's not the way you work with people. It's just not. It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. That accomplishes zero. And that throws water on the accomplishments and the conversations that we had tonight with everybody else.
Kobe, to your point, and again, I think your apology is well taken and appreciated by the audience. We may disagree, but we respect one another always. Policy is set by the governing body, which is the mayor and the council. The council has the vote. I can break ties and make appointments and so forth. Generally, the city manager makes decisions on pools and tennis courts. We don't have a city manager. We have an acting city manager. And this acting city manager has graced us day after day beyond what she's normally doing as our clerk with good judgment. And in her judgment, rather than making the decision on her own, she defers to the council and sometimes polls the council even though pools and tennis are not policy concerns, you can put it under the umbrella on safety, but that's really something that you need to have a conversation with, because generally what happens is the police chief opines, the health director opines, and the city manager makes a decision. But we have an acting city manager right now, and the theory is very simple, and that is to defer in the better side of judgment and safety. And it doesn't matter where any one of us are, until the collective feels comfortable. We have to respect our colleagues, because they have different experiences, and they may avert in these days of strife. And there are days of strife throughout the nation, and there are people that are hurting.
Hey, Mayor Wiles,
and they're not eating.
Mayor Wiles, hold on. Why don't you address the real question? When he called me a dictator, why don't you address that? Address that.
I think if you want me to address that.
Address that. That's the thing. That's the first thing you should have addressed. Because see, if I had done that, I'm a bad guy. So you know what? We had this conversation, and this is the problem why Englewood is not going to move forward until people get it. You just can't say whatever you want to say. And
I get that. Charles, have a bit of patience. Kobe,
that's the problem. That's the problem. You've been telling me to have patience forever. But you know what? People know what they say, and that's unacceptable.
I get that. And
that's unacceptable.
Notwithstanding, I think it should be stated.
But don't ask me for that, because that's not what you do. That's not what you do. Listen, that's not what you do. This is the problem. This is why we are where we're at today. Because you're going to say that. Listen, no, man. If we having a good conversation, people can agree and disagree and saying we'll work together and all this. When you start saying things like that, or you think things like that, that's not good. It's just not.
And what happens,
Councilman, I want to apologize. I was merely venting, and my frustration is.
Yeah, listen. If I did that, I would be wrong. So
no. If I did that, and I did do that, I am wrong, and I want to apologize for that. And I am saying I was wrong, and I want to apologize. You were absolutely right. I made a mistake. I apologize.
I think we all agree, Colby, Charles, that the message gets lost if you don't show respect for somebody in a position that was elected or in a position that they take. And not any one of us on these daily calls, and they've been going since March, are doing this because we're handsomely paid. We're doing this out of love of city. And if we disagree with one another, we defer to one another, and we don't throw somebody under the bus. And the fact that you use that word, I think, if I can articulate for Charles, is that you feel he's making the decision unilaterally. Please understand he's not. It's in a collective. And I have to say, and I thank Mr. Fedorko, who's here, and our chief. They make opinions, they give advice, but we respect everybody's opinion, and we take the cautious road.
Right.
You're right, and again, I absolutely apologize. I'm very sorry. You're absolutely correct.
Okay, let's move. Yancy, it's getting to the 10 o'clock hour. It's getting a little late, and hopefully we'll take care of all these questions sooner than later for everybody who's passionate about, the tennis courts and all that kind of stuff. We will address those things as soon as possible. We will straighten that out.
I'm not seeing anyone else with their hand raised. I think we're done with the public session.
Thank you all. I appreciate your comments, your feedback, and please keep challenging us and come to the next meetings. I thank you all. I truly do. We're going to go to the closed session. Mr. Bailey, can you take us there? Thank you. Good night.
Yes, sir. Be it resolved by the governing body of the City of Englewood that a meeting closed session pursuant to subsection 7 dealing with contract negotiations and matters within the attorney-client privilege, as well as subsection 8 dealing with personnel matters. Be it further resolved that the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public upon taking final action thereon, provided it does not constitute an undue invasion of privacy or violate the attorney-client privilege. And although the council will return to open session to adjourn the meeting, it is not anticipated it will take any action at the conclusion of the closed session. A motion, a second, and a vote.
Move. So move. Second. Who's on second?
Second.
Thank you, Catherine. Yancy, are we going to some breakout rooms or whatever?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Just need an all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
So we gotta, what do we do? What do you want us to do?
Setting up the breakout room right now.